Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to a Railroad Inc. unboxing. This is part 2 of the Dice expansion. So in part 1, we went over Underground and Sky. And we're going to do part 2. This one should go a little bit quicker. Underground took a little while, just because it was a little bit bigger of a set. So we're going to jump into the rest of these and see what I hopefully we don't have to do a part 3. Alright, so we're going to hop into electricity. So these are, if you're not sure what these are, and you didn't watch part 1 for some reason, they're just the extra dice you can get for the Railroad Inc. game to add extra little modifiers to the game. So we had, like, the lakes and rivers, or volcanoes and meteors in the base games. These will add extra little modes to play, and they're all going to have somewhere between 1 to 4 dice. They're all sets are going to contain 4 dice, and each mode will have utilize somewhere between 1 to 4 of the dice. So there could be 1 game mode to play, like Underground was, or there could be 4, like the arcade one does. So we're going to hop in and look at this yellowy set for electricity. So basically this top thing, I'm not going to reread all of it, just says make sure you use the expansion and keep your points and then add them in there. So our first set of dice are the Street Lamps dice, which is an easy difficult. It is 6 rounds. Shine a spotlight on your longest highways with Street Lamps expansion. Draw additional highways accompanied by street lamps, but remember that you will also have to turn them on to gain bonus points. With the addition of 2 dice containing only highways, you will reach unprecedented longest highways, and you'll also gain points for your active lights. So what's going to make this one kind of fun is that you're just going to be adding streets no matter what. Pretty much every time you roll them. But then you're going to get to add these lights as extra bonus points. This is kind of like, if you want to add some new dice, but you don't want to add a super huge big challenge, this is maybe a good one to start with. So when you draw routes, you may draw the resulting street lamp dice and follow the normal placement rule. Every time you use a special route, when also activating your third university, you must choose a row or a column to put an asterisk on all your containing street lamps in that row or column. These lamps are now activated. You don't have to choose a lamp in the same row or column where your special row is placed. Every street lamp can only be activated once. At the end of the game, you gain 1 point for each street lamp. So what this is basically saying is that you have those 3 special routes you get to use each turn, or if you're playing with the challenge versions of the base games, you also get University, which adds a 4th one. At that point, you're going to get to turn on all your lights in one row or column. If there's already one that's on, it stays on. It doesn't turn off or anything. So you'll have to utilize those special routes. And you'll have to use them at opportune times. It also means because you're adding more highways, you might have to wait and use those later to activate as many of these lights as possible. You don't want to use them too early in the game, otherwise you're going to risk not being able to turn on as many lights. Luckily, though, you don't lose any points for not turning on lights, so it's no big deal there. Just gain more points if you can turn them on. But it also might kind of mentally change how you place stuff, because you might want to place them again in the same. You might put something in a different spot so you can add them in there. So let's take a look at those quick. I do love, I said this in the first video as well, but I love that all the dice are different colors. Almost all of these are also translucent, which is really fun. But there we're going to get like a corner or a T with a street lamp, a 4-way, another corner, 2 curbs. I think they're basically the same dice. We're going to get some overpasses with a road to a road. How often do you really see that? That's always fun. Yep, so it looks like each one has one of them light posts. You could actually add a decent amount if you drew both of these every time, which is going to cut down on how many railroads you're able to draw. But there we go. So that's kind of fun. Alright, then let's look at the electricity. We have the power grid dice, which is difficulty hard, which is 7 rounds. Manage infrastructure power lines on top of your power or your route networks and connect the city to an accumulator. So now this one's a little bit more difficult. Just to state. So if you had a really easy one, this one's going to be a little bit more challenging. So yeah, I wouldn't play this with new players to the game. So charge the accumulator at the center of your board and build a power lines to connect to your exits. The power grid dice indicate the direction in which you'll be able to electrify your routes. At the end of the round, you'll electrify all your adjacent routes in the given direction starting from an exit or an electrified route. When you electrify your accumulator, it will charge up. At the end of the game, you gain points equal to the number of exits connected to the accumulator multiplied by the number of charges on the accumulator itself. So what you're going to do at the start of the game, you're going to draw this accumulator, which is this cylinder with 3 circles and a little wire in the center of your grid. So down here at the bottom, they're going to show you your overall map. It's right in the center, so it's always going to be there. At the end of each round, you may use the power grid dice to electrify your routes starting from an exit or from an already electrified space. Move the direction indicated by the power grid dice. The curved line on the dice always represents the bottom of the dice. So this one is going to show like electrified to the left. This one's going to say electrify down. Since all these dice are going to show is electrify and then a direction. You may electrify as many spaces as you desire as long as you are moving in a straight line and electrifying every consecutive space. When the electrifying space is mark it by drawing a little lightning in the bottom corner of the space, following these rules. You can only electrify space that contains a route. You can't electrify an already electrified space, and you can't electrify the accumulator. So when electrifying, if you start an already electrified space, next to the accumulator, you move it on top of the accumulator and we'll charge it for 1 point. This is how you're going to fill that up. So what you want to do here is this is showing down here. So I'm going to start the edge of the map and I can move straight over 3 spaces. I can't run into and electrify the accumulator. You can do though, if you already have one that's electrified, you can then electrify the accumulator. So it'll take you at least 2 dice. Now, you think about it though, you're rolling 2 dice every turn. So if you roll 2 lefts, or 2 rights in this example, you'd be able to go all the way to the exit to the accumulator, and on the second dice use that to charge the accumulator. So this third one, it's showing going down. We're starting at the top one, which is already electrifying. We're electrifying the 2 zones in between, and we have to stop at 3 because it's already been electrified. I can't run through another electrified space. So this will kind of take some planning to electrify as many as you can by not only doing 2 and then having to stop and then going down. So as you get more and more electrified, it'll be a little bit trickier. Alright. So yeah, and then what you're going to do is you're going to try and charge that accumulator by filling it out. So every time you charge it, you'll fill up one of the dots up to 3 times. The power grid dice also have a result with a question mark. This can be used to electrify only 1 space wherever you want. You also may choose to use this to charge the accumulator by 1 point instead of electrifying a space. So if you get the question mark, it's put 1 space wherever, or charge up that accumulator. So if you don't have a way to get to it. So now this could be good, for example, like a space right here or here. You could charge that 1 space rather than trying to figure out there's no way for you to actually get in there without spending 1 to go down this way or spending 1 line to go that way, which is something you could also do. At the end of the game, you'll gain points equal to the number of charges on your accumulator multiplied by the number of exits connected to the accumulator itself through consecutive orthogonal adjacent electrified spaces. The routes connected to the accumulator do not count as errors at the end of the game. So it's showing it's going to count for every space that is electrified that also reaches an exit. So that one up there, they're all electrified, but they're not touching the accumulator. That's kind of fun. So it's a little bit trickier because you have to add this accumulator and you have to kind of pay attention to these, but it's not so difficult because essentially, like the some of these other ones, kind of nice. You're gonna play the regular, your white dice, however you want. Play that like normal. Do all that stuff like usual. Then turn around and electrify afterwards. So it's like step 2. So it's not interfering or adding extra things that get in the way, like some of the base stuff do, where like you have to add a meteor or another route that might get in the way. But yeah, these are the electric guys. So just the different electric arrows with the different sides on them. So that's definitely a fun extra one to add in there. Alright, up next we are going to look at the engineering set. The engineering set is going to give us 4 brand new guys. Now, I have a problem here because I am missing one of the guys. They gave me a duplicate guy instead of one of the ones I'm supposed to have. So I have to. So unfortunately, I don't have all the correct dice out to show you, but we'll kind of go with what we have. So this is actually kind of a fun expansion in itself as well. It says we're going to have the renovation guys. So we're going to play with one guy for this expansion, which is going to. Now I wish they'd made these all different colors instead of all 4 the same. Because now I gotta try and figure out which one's which. It's not super difficult to figure it out because they all look fairly different. The symbols on them do, but again, we kind of need if they would give them a little bit different shades. So we have the renovation guy, which is going to be denoted by having dotted lines for stuff. So yeah, if I move this over here, so we're going to have like a railroad into a dotted cross line, or an railroad overpass into a dotted cross line, road into a dotted line, curved highway into a dotted line, and then a curved railroad. So they basically get, you know, the 2 overpasses for railroad or highway, the 2 curved, and then the 2 keys for each different one. So how does renovation? This is a medium difficulty, 7 rounds. Sometimes you just plan badly, but now with the renovation expansion, you have the possibility to make it even worse. With renovation, guys, you can add feature to your existing routes or create new routes or configuration when playing with the renovation expansion. Each round, you may decide to use the renovation guide, but only once per round. You may use the renovation guide on only spaces that already contain a route, which are compatible with the constraints given by the dotted line on this. By the dotted line. A route compatible if it can be completely placed inside the dotted lines. You can only renovate basic routes. You can't renovate expansion dice results. There are 2 special faces with the dotted lines in the center. These can only be connected to add to an existing station. Yeah, so basically what this is saying is that I already have something in there so I can place my overpass under whatever, whether it's another railroad, a full road, or a station like that. The one that goes square in the middle means I can only place it into something that has a station there, but now it can be a station with like just a single station. It can be an L station, it can be an overpass station, as long as the dark, not dotted part is what you're going to be drawing, as long as you're not covering something up that's already there. Even there, it's showing it's showing 2 angles. I can fit my angle in there because it's not going to be touching the other half of the angle, or the other corner. So that's definitely fun. It's a nice, quick little thing. I think it's listed as medium difficulty because it's going to make you stop and second guess what you're doing. But it is neat that you can add just an extra little bonus in there. Alright, so we have that. Up next, we have the special guy. So this is going to have a lot of stations, with a lot of 4s. So we have either some 3 railroads and a station, some crosses, some different designs that we haven't really seen before. Here another 4 highway, kind of like your special guy or your special routes. So it says bigger networks with the build bigger networks with a special guy. This die is not added to the pool. Instead, it replaces one of the basic white root dices. When playing with the special expansion, your special guy is considered a root dice and can be placed and can be duplicated by factors and triggers all special effects. Like all the root dice, the special guy is mandatory. When combined with expansions, you can't sacrifice the result of the special guy to trigger special effects, like avoiding the sun in the desert expansion. Note, when playing with the special guy, you may still use the special routes at the top of your board. This is kind of fun. So it just comes in and it replaces one of those dice. And then you can do whatever you need to do with it. Now, unfortunately, maybe fortunately, I got 2 of them. So I'm missing my third die instead. I got 2 of those. But that could even be kind of fun for me, because I could add a second one in there. Alright, so the third die we have is construction die. It's going to be this one. It's going to be squares with symbols in there. So it's going to be a question mark, a arrow, 4-way arrow, question mark, 4-way arrow, or an X. So one of those 3 symbols. Newly acquired machinery open up great value, new options to move or destroy already placed routes. And thanks to the building permits, placing a route wherever you want. Each round will have the option of using special actions on the construction dice and maybe chain combos by activating special buildings. So anytime during the round, you may choose to use the effect showing on the construction die. You only use it once per round. So if you have the X, it's destroying already drawn space, even if it was drawn this round. So basically like this, if you're forced to draw all of them, draw all your stuff, and then you can choose to use the construction dice at the end. So you can move an already drawn space, even if it was drawn this round, just erase it, draw it again in another legal location. And then free placement. You may draw one of the routes in a current round without having it connect to a pre-existing route. So it's basically just adding some extra fun there. So what this is kind of showing here in the examples is how you can chain some of these together. So example 1 is after drawing all the current routes for the round, Julia triggers the second university on her university track. Also uses her special third route. So she uses her third route, so therefore she went through and she placed her 4 dice plus 1 extra special route dice. She placed 5 different things down. In step 2, she plays the movement. It says then Julia uses the move action to move the station, erasing it from the university space, which she can now trigger again. And then she draws the station on the factory and gets a duplicate of one of the dice. So she drew on the university, got a bonus space to draw, so she triggered her second university on there. And then she moved off to the factory. The factory is going to let her duplicate. So she duplicates a railway, T-junction, on the university. So that gets her her third university. Thus triggering her third means she can now draw another special route. So in that turn, she got her 4 dice, plus her bonus dice, moved 1 over, and then that gave her another dice. So she got 5 dice, and then she got active university and got 6 dice. So using that, she got 6 dice in the turn. So that's definitely pretty good. And it sets her up a lot better. Because if you also look here, the station would have went into a road which wouldn't have helped her. But since she was able to then turn it, place it there, and then connect that T to that T over there, she ended up making a lot better route for herself. So that's definitely fun there. Alright, so then the 4th die, which I don't have, is going to be the separation die. It says, make your life as a city planner hell on earth the separation die. This does not add to the pool, instead replaces one of your basic white root dice. Change one of your choices. So much like the special die, it's going to replace one of your other dice. The separation dice are considered route dice and may be duplicated by factories and trigger all dice. It must be mandatory. So what this dice is showing here is going to be a lot more stuff where you're going to have stations. They have corners, T-spaces, some different railroads. So it's basically just going to make it a little bit harder. The other ones added a lot more junctions and crosses, which can be very helpful. This is going to also turn your routes different directions. which is going to make it harder to connect things. Now, what would definitely be fun is I would assume you could play all 4 of these together. So you'd have the separation guy and the special guys taking place here too, then keeping that renovation dice and the construction dice as your 2 special dice for the game. And then you could roll all them, because none of these actually add any additional points, which is the one thing that makes them very different than the rest of the game. Yeah, or you can add 1 at a time, or add 2 at a time, or add them with other expansions. This could definitely be very interesting. Alright, so let's hop into the next expansion here. Get out of the way. We have the Futuristic expansion. This is going to add 3 new modes. So there's some of our dice right there while I open the instructions. Alright, what do we have here? We have Futuristic expansions. We have the City Builder dice. We have an income and building guide. So, now these are, again, I like this. So these are all going to be different shades. Like I said, these last ones were all black and blue. But it kind of makes sense because they're all sort of independent to me. These are all 4 different things, so they all get kind of shades of gray. But we're going to look at the income and building line. Now, this is a little bit trickier setup for these. Gain money by pleasing investors and spend it on futuristic buildings in your country. Investors are going to evaluate your conduct and give you money according to how well you follow their vision. You use that money to build your empire. Each round, you'll be evaluated on the basis of an income guide. You'll have the opportunity to build as many buildings of the displayed on the building guide as you can afford. At the end of the game, you'll gain points according to the number of towers. Buildings can also remove errors from your board. If a route ends spacing a building, it will not be considered an error. When playing up the City Builder expansion, apply these changes. After drawing all your normal routes, you gain money based on the income guide. The income guide show one of the following faces. Adjacent construction. Gain coins for your biggest group of orthogonal adjacent connected routes, including specials that you drew this round. You gain 1 coin for each space in this group. So you'll see what these spaces are, and that kind of gives you the idea. Like, if I want to spend more money on this turn, I definitely can, but then it's gonna get, sorry, you can see what you need to do to gain money, so you can determine how to place your stuff on the board. So they have early interconnection, gain 1 coin for each exit in your current largest network, and then central development, gain 1 coin for each occupied space in the central area of your board. And urbanization, gain 2 coins plus 1 coin for each space containing a building. Keep track of your coins on the network scoring track. See example to the right. You may have a max number of 12 coins. After receiving your income, you may build 1 or more copies of the building shown on the building guide by paying the cost then written on the guide itself. Buildings occupy 1 whole space. A building can contain from 1 to 3 towers. You may put a building on an empty space. So once you put a building in there, you can't run something else through it, but you can put up to 3 towers on a building space. At the end of the game, you gain 1 point for each of your towers. Again, 1 space can have up to 3 towers. Open-ended routes connected to the space do not have errors. So, like, here this is showing the example as you drew this adjacent construction. So it says, gain coins for your biggest group of orthogonal adjacent connected spaces. So, they're showing, in here, they drew 5 spaces together. So that, because round 3, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces next to each other. Practically factories and special dice. So yeah, they gained a coin for coin for each space in the group, so they gain 5 coins. You touch them, draw 3 towers. Or draw 2 sets of towers, so they drew 2 of them. I'm not sure why they drew 2 total. And then that next track there is showing how to keep track of your money. Just saying, you like using your longest route tracker. So say you had plus, so like they're saying they had 5. That's what they did. So they had 5 at the beginning of the game. Round. They gained 6 coins for matching all 6 of them, which put them up to 11. They spent 10 to draw 2 sets of those buildings. Then here's how it's going to look at the end. With all these buildings around there, you have some that are by itself. You have some that have 2 buildings connected by a railway. Some buildings ending there. Alright, so that's basically how that works. So yeah, you're going to have one die. It's just going to tell you how many coins you get per different symbol. So there's 2 of that one. 3 of that one. So you're going to get that one the most. And then it looks like 1 of each of the other ones. So you get 2 coins plus X for the number of buildings, number of center spaces, and number of exits. We're most likely just going to get that most of the time. Get it for drawing things next to each other. Then you'll have your buildings. So it's 5 coins to draw 2, 3 to draw 1. You have a 5, a 2, and a 3. And then we have 7 and 7. So there's 2 of each side to draw 3 of them. Yes, that's definitely an interesting little thing. Now, it does, because they take up a full space, like showing here, it is going to adjust how you have to draw everything. But nicely, you can run stuff into it. So those are fun. Then we will have the Super Connection die, which is easy for 6 rounds. Super Connection technology is new and very efficient way to travel. Both cars and trains can be loaded on top of super fast, magnetically suspended vehicles. Super Connection can be used to connect both highways and railways thanks to superstations, drawing as a triangular shape. At the end of the game, Super Connections will count towards both your longest highway and longest railway. When playing with this connection, make sure you apply the changes. 6 rounds instead of 7. You must use the results of Super Connection die each round and follow the normal placement. When drawing a Super Connection, routes may connect together to any route through the super stations. The triangular structures at the triangular structures on the end of the Super Connection routes. Super Connection routes can be considered as both highways and railways when connecting the longest railway. So we're going to have these little squiggly lines. So we have a little triangle pointing inwards towards each side. Like they're connect to a station. We can have a 3-way road that way. We can have a straight line and another straight line. So it's going to give some different options there. But yeah, showing here you can connect railway and a highway together, or there you have railway. Going to connect to a substation or a regular station there. Then connect these all the way back to this road. And then you can run it all the way out. Except that's going to be your longest railroad because it's going to hit a road there. Now, if this is a railroad here, it would have went all the way to that other exit. So that's definitely an interesting, fun extra die to play. Easy enough to add in to any game, just to add almost like an easy mode. You know, like, hey, we're having difficulty, maybe add this, because you can just add, I can put this rubber to have it connect as what. Alright, so the last die for Futuristic is the Alien Farmer die, which is easy for 6 rounds. Farming, especially wool production, has gotten a lot easier after the introduction of abduction rays. Manage your farms and UFOs to maximize your output of wool. UFO can take wool from sheep that are in the same row and or column. More than one UFO can take wool from the same sheep in a farm. When playing this, follow the rules. The game lasts 6 rounds instead of 7. Each round you may choose to use the Alien Farmer die result, placing a sheep or UFO on the Alien Farmer dice you don't draw have to be connected to any pre-existing routes, so they can go wherever. When drawing a special route, you may instead place a UFO on your board. Also, when activating your 3rd university, UFOs occupy a full space, so you can't draw things through them. Although sheep, you can. At the end of the game, you gain 2 points for each sheep that a UFO can reach. UFO can only reach sheep that are in the same column and or row. UFO scores and sheep that was already scored up by another can score a sheep that was already scored by another UFO. So this is basically saying if I roll a sheep, so I'm gonna get dice hit this, and roll a sheep in the corner. We get 4 different ones there, and then we'll have 2 UFOs. So you just draw them like normal. So they're just going to give you extra different routes. And all of them had stations in them, I believe. Yeah, so they're actually kind of nice there. Give you some stations to do some stuff with. And then when you place your UFOs, they're going to connect. So this is showing it goes either direction. So in this one, your first one here is going to score 3 points. And this one's going to score 2 points. And you get 2 points for each. So it's 10 points. Yeah, so definitely a little, like some of the other ones, it's a nice little extra thing you can add in there. Worst case is you're just getting some, you just ignore the UFO if you don't feel like playing it, or you don't have anywhere where it's only going to mess up your stuff, and just play the ones with the sheep. Doesn't cost you any points, and it gets you extra connectors. Alright, so that was our Futuristic expansion. Unfortunately, we are going to have to do a part 3 for the last 2 because these are a little bit more involved. The arcade and Eldrich, and this video is already pretty long. So I'll check you guys out in video number 3. See you there. Bye.